Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their two locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs. What's up, everybody? It's Morgan Thomas, and this is the Morgan Thomas Show. Thank you for coming in and being a part of the show tonight. Whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, we really appreciate it. Everybody getting in and joining us. I already see a ton of people in the chat, so make sure that you hit the like button and you get in your questions. And we're going to discuss all things that you want to talk about tonight. Hopefully Clemson related, but I'm sure there's some college football discussion that may have gone on over the past night since you went to bed and you woke up this morning. A lot of things happened in the college football world, but we want to talk about that, maybe get into a little bit of recruiting talk, and again, everything that you want to talk about tonight. So get in the chat. Make sure, again, you hit the like button and throw in your questions in there. Tonight, we don't have Big Allen Adams again tonight because he is playing basketball, church basketball, hopefully going for the championship over there. But I'll bring in my co-host for tonight, Mr. Houston Burnett. Houston, welcome in.
Always a pleasure to be on the Skippy McDippy show with Morgan. Not so inside joke, I guess.
Skippy McDippy. So I'll tell you, Houston. So in case anybody's wondering, apparently Houston, I do this thing in the morning. Started it maybe how long ago did I start it? I started it 6 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago now. It's been a while. And I guess my mom says I'm a professional radio guy now because I actually got a check.
Yeah.
When you get paid for something, that means you're a professional. Mm-hmm. So I am actually a professional. Now I call myself a YouTuber. Some might call me an intern, incorrectly call me an intern. But I've been producing for Mickey Plowler's show every Thursday morning. So I drive from Simpsonville all the way over to Clemson to produce the show, which has been a wonderful experience for me because, I never was really a dream of mine to be on the radio. Just kind of something that happened while doing this YouTube channel. Just worked its way into getting into the radio. Doors opened up and here we are. And met Houston, met Al, obviously, and you already do Alan, met Mark Childress, met Ben Milstead, and now met Mickey Plyler and get to produce his show. So it's been exciting. Now, on the flip side of that, as you know, Houston, when you step into the world of the public, not everybody's going to like you like your mom likes you. So, you kind of have to get used to that. Now, I'll tell you this, it's something that I don't think anybody can really prepare for because, I think most people want people to like them in general, right? Wouldn't you say?
Well, in a way, I guess. I've had a little bit of exposure to the radio world prior to us coming together, and then our show in the fall, and then just different things that could have happened with me. I've seen it. I want to be liked as well, but I also know that there's a subsect of people that just aren't going to be happy. And I don't know, for me, I kind of want to dig at them a little bit,
Well, my personality, I try to see both sides of the story. And I know that I'm not perfect at anything. I'm just trying to figure this out, and just like everybody else. But I do feel like that. I think there's a group of people that will say something but not do something. And my challenge to you is, if you say something, hey, go out there and do it. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to do something, go for it. If you think you can do better than someone else, go for it. Like, I want to encourage you to do that. And another thing that I've learned, Houston, is to really just make fun of yourself. Because if you don't, then there's no point. You're just going to ruin your life worrying about what everybody else thinks about you. Do I think I have a great voice? No, not really. Do I think I'm funny all the time? No. Do I know that I make mistakes all the time? Yeah, I do. Do I laugh at myself? Hey, you know what? It is what it is. But apparently, Houston, there's a thread out there that says I'm Skippy McDippy in the morning on Mickey. They don't even know my name, but hey, they're talking about me. They don't know my name yet.
Hey, it's all good. They're talking about you, man.
I feel like when I've made it is when they know your name when they're making fun of you.
Oh, I know. Yeah, and it's all right, man. They hate you because they ain't you, man. You know what? You got on the radio. You've gotten to something dear.
I don't even think about it that way.
Station of all things.
I feel like that's not humble. They hate you because they ain't you, and I'm literally, not. I'm just
be the hill, man.
I'm just one day a week
That's the
3
difference
hours.
between you and me, man. If I have a shot, if it comes up and available down the road, man, I don't mind, man. I'll be the
Now, if
deal.
it's a Gamecock fan, on the other hand, if it's a game, see, I try to give I give some leniency to the Clemson Tiger base because I feel like, hey, we're at least fans of the same team. But it kind of goes back to the fact of, I can't expect everybody to like me because you know what? The crazy thing is, the more you get into this stuff, and we talked about this last week, not everybody even likes Dabo Swinney, a national champion, a 2-year national championship winner. Not everybody likes Dabo Swinney. Some people still hate things that he does. Some people would probably rather have a different coach, even after everything. To be honest with you, there are some fans out there. Not only do they, not like, what people say on the radio, or for me, like somebody who's just trying to do it, but there are fans out there that don't even like Dabo. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and I'm so glad I was able to just get you going already. I love it.
I asked you before the show. I said, Houston, don't tell me about this. Don't tell me about stuff in the forums because it never goes good for me. I have this year I have tried to stay away from the forums because I am a marketing guy in my normal job, and you can't really make it on YouTube or Facebook unless you share things and you try to like push things out there. Now, sometimes people hate that, but a lot of people have said, hey, you're a paid subscriber to these sites. They have forums. You should be allowed to post what you want to post, right? Now I get it. I don't want to be like the OxyClean guy that throws it in your face. But then again, I mean, in today's world, you have to kind of promote your show or promote your social media or whatever it may be. But again, I try to stay away from the forums because what I've found is I just need to grow my audience on YouTube and Facebook in my own realm. And if somebody finds our show, they find our show. I don't need to go out there because there's either two things about our show, Houston. This is what I found. And you tell me if you agree. They either think that we're just some dumb YouTubers that barely became fans yesterday. Mm-hmm. Maybe didn't even go to school at Clemson, which that is, I think we're probably the only show of all 3 Clemson graduates and fans. I don't know any other show like that. But then they'll say, if they don't say, well, we're just nobodies that just say whatever, they'll say, oh, they're a threat and they don't need, they're not allowed on our channel or they're not allowed on our website, or they delete our posts before even, they get out there. So it's either you're an idiot or you're a threat.
Well, that's just the way of the world, man. Just think of it as we're a threat. We're always a threat.
I wish I could just, I would love to be friends with everybody that reports Clemson. But what I've found too is, Houston, is a lot of people that are reporting on Clemson, they don't care about you as a fan. They don't care about the team as an actual team. They don't care about the players. They want you to click on their article. And if they don't make money off of you clicking on their article, they want you to subscribe. Mm-hmm. And if you're not doing either one of those, then get out. Mm-hmm. And if you're anybody like us who could be stealing those, which we're not trying to steal, we're just trying to talk about the team we love, then it's a threat. You know what I mean?
Bro, you are just opening a can of worms, and I love it. I love it. Just open it up. Just open it. Let's go.
I did not realize how cutthroat the interwebs of Clemson media was. But again, I get it. I get it. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Everybody's fighting over views and follows. And that's probably why we're the threat, Houston, is because we're going to keep doing this because we love it. We don't care if there's 5 people watching the show. Really. I mean, we started and we did it for like a whole year and 4 or 5 people watched, and you're still watching because you guys still support the show and we appreciate it. But, we're doing the show. We've been doing the show even without having people watching. I mean, I can talk to a wall, as you guys know. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But anyways, let's talk about some things that you want to talk about, even though I got a little venting out there. And again, I don't even, you know what? I really don't care. If you call me a name or whatever, hey, I'm going to try to do what I feel like the God-given talents I have. If they're not that good of talents, hey, I never said I wanted to be Kirk Herbstreit. I just want to do the best with what doors I have open. That's all.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get in.
You got to make Skippy McDippy shirts. That's all I got to say, man. You want to own it?
We
Let's make
really
Skippy
need to make
McDippy
shirts. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, I have a t-shirt site, and I give out t-shirts. Last year we did a lot of contests and we gave out t-shirts. I really want to do. I like to give away things. That's another thing. Name another show. Houston, we gave over like $2,000 worth of stuff last year, football season. Name another show that doesn't care how many people watch and also gives out $2,000 worth of gifts. T-shirts, stickers, $25 gift cards to food, to Home Depot. I mean, thanks to our sponsors, but we don't hoard all the money to ourselves. So, actually, I would rather. What's that guy on YouTube? Is it Mr. Beast?
Yeah,
He's the guy. Have you ever listened to his interviews? He basically says, "I make millions of dollars every year, but I give away almost all of it." That would be me. That's the way I do things. I'd be like, "Hey, I want 25 Clemson fans to put their hand on this orange Lamborghini, and last person to keep their hand on wins." That's what I want. I want to do.
I would push them all out of the way and then touch it.
To be honest with you, I wish we had enough. I wish we had enough sponsorships and we had enough money coming in to where we could do our own NIL collective and we could beat Texas A&M at their own game.
Yeah, baby, because they don't cheat. They do it the right way.
We want to do it the right way, and that's through Google Ads.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's get into the chat and say hello to everyone. Hopefully you're getting in and getting part of this conversation because we're going through the chat now. We're going to be bringing up your name up on the screen. We want some questions. We want some shout outs. We want to give you some love and support tonight. So let's go over here. We got Facebook and YouTube tonight. Anthony Weeks says, "Hey, guys." Jeff Browder says, "What's up, fellas?" Anthony Weeks, all right, with our first question of the night. What are realistic expectations for the upcoming football season? Now, I'm assuming he's talking about the Clemson Tigers. And I haven't gotten to the point where I know the schedule with the back of my hand. So let me pull up the schedule real quick. And let's go to the ACC. We'll go to Clemson. We'll go to the 2022 schedule. Starting out, I ought to know this one. They're going to be playing in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, playing the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. What's interesting to me about Georgia Tech, Houston, I feel like that Clemson can beat them. I feel like DJU can beat them. The defense is so good that I don't feel like that they're going to have much of a challenge on that side of the ball because they're just so talented and they have so much depth. The thing I'm really curious about with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets is their depth chart. I mean, they have pulled in a lot of transfers.
Yeah, I mean, you view it that way. If you could say, "Oh, they pulled in a lot of transfers," or you could also be like, "Their roster is depleted." I mean, look, their best players were leaving, and that's not always a hit that you're going to get.
They did lose their running back in Gibbs, right?
Yeah,
but they picked up Pierce Quick, left tackle. He's going to be their left tackle from Alabama. He wasn't allowed to play. They picked up Paul Teo from Clemson. They picked up Tyson Pumachan from Clemson as well. He's not probably going to be their quarterback, which is weird to me because, they got Jeff Sims. I highly doubt Pumachan's going to take over Jeff Sims' spot. So I don't really understand. Was there any backstory of why he went there?
No, I mean, I don't know of any right now, but I also don't. Jeff Sims is so hot and cold.
Very true.
Jeff Sims could come in and play a great game, and then the next week throw 6 picks. And it wouldn't surprise me if the reason why they brought in Pumachan, he's not with the roster, whatever, Tyson, is, at least he came in a situation where he was asked to come in and mop up duty with DJ and help lead some drives and maybe get a little bit more confident for himself. So what's the big deal with rolling dice and going to Georgia Tech when you've got a quarterback who on certain days looks like Robert Griffin III and on other days he looks like Jake Bentley in the Belk Bowl throwing picks everywhere? So, I think that's probably the reason why is he's probably got a better shot to play there than some of the other places that he might end up at.
So we're looking at the schedule, realistic expectation. I got a win with Georgia Tech. I got a win with Furman and a win with Louisiana Tech and those are both at home. So there's a neutral site game. Really, you could say it's. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a home game at all for Georgia Tech. I would say probably more Clemson fans will go to that game. I don't know. I don't even, to be honest with you, that's not the most enticing game to go to, first game of the season in a large stadium like that. I really don't see, to me, I feel like there's going to be some empty stands in there.
There might be, but there's going to be more Clemson fans there. There's more Clemson fans. If you've never been to a game at Tech, I've been to one.
I never have.
It's there. First of all, their stadium's tiny at Tech. That's why they're playing this game here, and they're doing this more with some of their bigger games because they want more butts and seats so they can get more revenue for these games. Their stadium probably holds around maybe 50, 55,000 tops. It's not big. Most of the time they're playing a road game at home when a team like Clemson or Georgia or Florida State or even sometimes North Carolina comes to town. There'll be more Ole Miss fans at Tech when they play Ole Miss this year in Atlanta. And I'm telling you now, there'll be more Clemson fans in Mercedes-Benz when they play to start the year. That's just how it is. There are larger schools, there are larger alumni bases. There's more Clemson fans in Atlanta than there is Tech fans. And so that's just kind of how the ball rolls with that.
So you've got, really, you're starting out the season. You're going into Saturday, September 24th, the last weekend of Saturday, and you're 3-0. You really haven't played anybody. You probably, not, I don't know if you're losing spots. There are other teams out there that are having better games at this point. There's a couple of early season games that are really, really good that I'm looking forward to. But Clemson, nonetheless, even with DJU, is 3-0. So to me, there's no, unless he just comes out and is complete garbage, there's no chance of losing his position in these first three games. They go and travel to Wake Forest on a Saturday the 24th. I believe, that's a Saturday the 24th. And by the way, the Georgia Tech game is a Monday. I mean, last time we saw Wake Forest, Clemson's defensive line was just so much better. Their offensive line looked like a high school offensive line. I don't see any change there. And I feel like that Clemson can still beat them handedly like they did last year at home. So to me, there's no risk there either. So that's 4-0. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I won't talk about the other games after Wake, but I feel like there's going to be a theme of like road games getting past the first wave of like the first couple of drives in the first quarter. Wake doesn't have the athletes. That's just fact. Dave Clawson, I'm shocked, has not gotten a bigger job. What he's been able to do at Wake Forest is nothing short of a miracle. And look, if you want to talk about quarterback development, he's done an amazing job with all his quarterbacks that he's had there, Sam Hartman included. But even with that, you think about last year's team, the worst offense Clemson's had in a decade, and Clemson should have scored 60 points on them. They had 3 red zone turnovers. 3. You score those, you convert those into points, you're looking at somewhere in the 50s and 60s because they scored 48 points with 3 turnovers, with the worst offense in a decade. Now you have potentially better offense, just as athletic a defense, potentially more opportunity to see Cade play. I think Clemson's going to win that.
So we're looking at 4-0, and now they're hosting NC State in a revenge game set up at home. The fans are going to be frustrated. They're going to be loud. They're going to want to see Dabo Swinney take out all of his anger and aggression on NC State. I think that's what happens. I mean, unless this will be the game to me that DJ struggled with. I mean, the entire offense struggled with. I think they went 7 in a row, 7 and outs, or 3 and outs. I think they went 7 in a row, 3 and outs in NC State in that last game. I doubt they do that at home, and I doubt that Dabo won't switch out the quarterback if that happens. So
Yeah.
this could be a potential Cade Klubnik sighting game. You will definitely see Cade Klubnik before then, but this could be a, hey, DJ, if you're not carrying this team and beating this team to a pulp as a revenge game in your own stadium, then maybe it's time for somebody else. But I still feel like with the crowd behind you that it will be a revenge game and a win for the Tigers. I mean, they don't have the running back that they used to. They don't have Zonovan Knight. They still have Devin Leary. They still have Thayer Thomas, I think that's his name. Their slot guy. They still have some weapons, but I feel like that it's just going to be too much of a revenge game, and the fans are going to be into it too much to be a loss.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things with NC State is outside of that one pass in overtime, that was a beautiful throw, perfect. I couldn't have better coverage from Devin Leary to, I believe, Devin Carter or Michael Carter was the wide receiver. I can't remember. They didn't really go deep, or they weren't very accurate on the deep ball. They just nickeled and dimed it down the field and just kind of stayed in the game until they could. Clemson's offense imploded, and they just were able to score when they needed to, as far as that goes. I know everybody is all about Devin Leary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's don't get me wrong, he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a let's walk into Death Valley and win this game kind of quarterback. And I think, one, you got a defense that's going to be out to not just shut that team down, but break them. And then, two, I think the way the offense is going to shake out for this game, it's either going to be a, hey, DJ is back kind of game, or a, hey, Cade's the real deal game. That's where this is where the rubber meets the road. It's either going to be Cade's coming out party or DJ's ascension to where we thought he could be.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We'll stop there because I know we got a lot of other comments in here. We got more people coming in. If you're new to the show, you've never been a part of the show, we've been doing this for about 3.5 years now. Started out by myself, Big Al. He's not here tonight. He's part of the show, and Mr. Houston Burnett here also as well. We talk all things Clemson and a lot of things that you want to talk about. We used to be a little bit more scripted when we started, but now we're kind of off the cuff and we're just enjoying ourselves. We do a lot of recruiting discussion and talk about players that are offered and players that might come to Clemson. We don't do any predictions or anything like that. We just like to look at the players and decide what we think about them and how they will fit into the Clemson team if they were to pick Clemson. But we also answer all of your questions in the chat. So make sure you hit the like button. That will help us with the algorithm. And then also get in the comments. Not only give us a shout out where your name is or where you're from and where you're watching, because we'll give you a shout out on the show, but also ask any questions you want because we'll just discuss it, and we'll kind of go through. All right. So Anthony, we appreciate you getting in with the first thoughts of the night, and really expectations. It's not just the schedule. Expectations can reach far out of it, but I think it taps into, again, you're looking at that. There's a great potential to be 4-0. I think there's very realistic to be 4-0, but that fifth game is going to be your revenge game at home that has to be basically a hey, we're back in charge. We're back at the top of the ACC, and we want to prove it to the nation that last year was a fluke. And not only that, DJ needs to do it. DJ needs it just as much as anybody else. The wide receiver core needs it too. The offensive line needs it too. Everybody needs that game as a, hey, wake up, Clemson is back game. All right, let's keep going. So over on YouTube, we've got John Sarian. Is there anything going in college football this week? And he laughs about that. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it today on the Mickey Plyler show, Houston. It's interesting to see Nick Saban come out and basically straight up call out Jimbo Fisher and Dion Sanders and name them. Now, he has since apologized for that, but he didn't apologize for what he said. He just apologized for specifically talking about two coaches and two situations, specifically with Travis Hunter and the cornerback that decided to go to Jackson State instead of going to Florida State or any other big school. He claims that he got a $1 million offer. Now, Hunter comes out on Twitter and says, my mom lives in a 3-bedroom apartment with 5 kids. She doesn't have $1 million. I don't have $1 million. Deion Sanders also laughed and said, I don't have $1 million. I'm not even getting paid $1 million. How could I give him $1 million if I'm not even getting paid $1 million? then Jimbo Fisher comes out and basically says he's a disgrace and would never want to talk to him again, not going to answer his phone calls. And that not and this is where I'm glad that Dabo Swinney is not involved, because he smartly, educatedly went and said, he took it from team versus team, and Jimbo made it about Nick Saban versus the recruits and their families. That when he started to make those statements, that's when I posted on Twitter, Dabo Swinney needs to get out of this. If any of those ridiculous reporters out there that we talked about at the beginning of the show go in front of him and ask these ridiculous questions, he needs to say no comment. Now, I know not everybody agrees with that, but Dabo needs to stay out of this one. Stay in your lane, as they say in the military.
I would say this, like, there's a difference, though, between there's a difference between what Dabo said initially versus what is going on currently between Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher. When they ask him these questions, how many of these things are untrue? What Dabo said, he didn't name teams or anything. He said there's tampering, which he was right.
We all pretty much know. I mean, there probably was tampering before. It's just not as obvious.
But it's obvious now. And then two, the way that he pointed out was he framed it in a sense of, the people that are getting to these kids don't have these kids' best interest in mind. And sometimes going to the portal isn't necessarily in the best interest of a player. They're just looking for greener pastures. That was essentially his point. And you've seen in the last couple of weeks, he's like, this is a crazy time. Give it 2 years, 3 years, and we'll get through this. We'll be better for it. Everything's going to shake out. It's just crazy right now. But nothing that he said wasn't a lie. It was pretty much true. And he wasn't calling out specific teams. I think that's just blanket what's going on. And I guarantee you somebody's going to try to get a soundbite from him, and he'll probably just echo what he said. Not a dog in the fight between Jimbo and Nick. I hate it for him. He'll probably be like, it's really sad. I really respect both those guys. I hope they figure it out. But there is tampering going on, all this. He'll tie that all together. And I would keep it that way. Just keep it that way and just let it go.
Don't get involved in their little hissy fit going on. I think they need to avoid it, because here's the thing. You don't want to be that coach that's not with the times, that's not an advocate for players and families. Because in today's age, where it's the players submit to the authority of the universities and they do what they're supposed to, it's not the way anymore. That's old school thinking nowadays. The players have more control than they've ever had, and they can upend a team based on the decisions that they make, and they can make decisions that even harms themselves because of the poor management of how the transfer portal is and how the NIL is. Can you imagine, Houston, when you were in college, when you were choosing a college? Now, I wanted to go. So my background is I wanted to go to Clemson really bad. I was always a Clemson fan. I had terrible grades in high school. I didn't care about my grades. All I cared about was playing soccer and chasing girls. And I was terrible at both. And so I didn't get into Clemson. I did not have good enough grades. I didn't even get into Anderson University until I joined the military. I went in the Army, came back, and then I was a veteran. They allowed me in on a provisional at Anderson because I was a veteran, not still kind of just a temporary provisional student. And then I worked my way up, and now I have an MBA from Clemson University, and I'm very thankful of that. But a lot of these players nowadays, and it's very sad for me, they don't care about where they go. They want to get the most playing time. They don't care about how they're going to get treated. They just want to get the most playing time, and they want to get a lot of times now the most money. And to me, like when I was younger, I kind of miss those days where I didn't have to care about money. But now we're teaching kids we're basically disguising it as, oh, they're learning business skills. Stop it. They don't need to learn business skills at 19 years old, like when they're trying to play football. Like, just let them play football. Let them enjoy that part of their life without having to try to, shake down people for money or have an agent. Like, to me, I still want things to be pure, but I know that that's long gone. I still see people on Twitter saying we need to get rid of social media for players. Well, guess what? That's long gone too.
Yeah, I mean, It's just I would say with this is Dabo called it, but you also see that he's everyone says he's not changing with the times. I think he's adjusting his strategy for the times. It's not this. He does not want to give fully into this because of specific reasons like this, right? You what is it, Ajay Hall, where Jordan Addison was considered coming to Texas. Ajay Hall, who's just transferred to Texas, has now gone dark and he's not talking to anybody and he's making it all dramatic. You kind of can see a reason why Dabo's a little bit gun shy.
And is that good for the player? Really? I mean, to be acting like that, to have to act that way, and basically become this tradable, buyable commodity where you're on the market. And instead of caring about your education, instead of caring about the university, instead of caring about maybe your future girlfriend or boyfriend, you're worried about money, getting more playing time. And it's like, you know what? What happened to just being excited about going to college and playing football and just having fun? It's all about money.
Yeah, I mean, it is. But I think that's important to see the strategy for Clemson work, because it's not always going to work out. And I don't think people understand, and especially people who are just it's over, guys. It's all blah, blah, blah about this. Culture matters. And there's another podcast out there on 247 with the Late Kick. I don't always agree with him a lot of times. But when you have the bones and structure of a good culture, that takes care of a lot of things. So if you're building your culture on just how much money and how many 5 stars we can get, which a lot of these SEC schools and a lot of these big name programs are doing, I'm not sold that we just haven't seen the full ramifications of what happens yet. There's going to be a lot of locker room cancers in a lot of these big time programs that we haven't seen yet. And I'm not saying that's not going to happen at Clemson. I'm not going to say Clemson is the perfect model and there's nothing that they need to do anything. There's always room for growth. But if Clemson is able to keep a good culture, especially if you're able to start winning again at a clip that you were doing, it'll work itself out, and it'll be something that future programs that are already starting to do it. Think about it. Oklahoma and Notre Dame are trying to emulate Clemson in what they did. You'll see more teams shift away from this, let's just pay as much money as we can to solve a problem, to be more relationship driven, if that grows more results there. Because you're not going to get an ROI just throwing money at everything.
John Chansey gets in, says, kind of fun to be the heel. Now that's kind of a discussion, with wrestling. And you know what? Sometimes it's nice to be part of the NWO. Maybe be the heel there, here and there. Yeah, Wolfpack. Okay, I like it. Too sweet.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like what you gotta. And I talked to John Hyde about this, because I said, John, sometimes I'll be mid-sentence and I'll see a text message up that says, this guy's a clown. He sucks. He sounds terrible. Get him off the radio. And it kind of throws you off if you read it, especially in the moment where you're like trying to say something and then you read that and you're like, how do I not think of that? So I usually don't even look at the text messages until in between breaks and stuff, because you never know. Now I'll say I get probably, bad feedback here and there, but everything's good feedback because I use it to try to help myself become better. But for the most part, I mean, like today on the show, I mean, we had top 5 lists. We talked about Deshaun and Trevor, and we talked about Formula One, and we had the text line just rocking and everybody was loving it. And so if I can leave the radio show after 3 hours, having some great conversations about Clemson, laughing and seeing people light up the text line, getting in their comments, I think that's a win for me.
What's the protocol on people? Are you allowed to respond to people that are trashing you at all? Because I mean, yeah. I would have some.
I mean, you can respond. You can reply back in the text line that they do now. Not every host does that because it's kind of it's a website, so you have to be kind of tech savvy, and it refreshes up really quickly if you have a lot of people talking, sometimes you lose it quickly. But you can reply back, and I mean, you want to be tactful. I mean, it's still a business. You're still a Clemson flagship station, so you want to be polite as much as you can be. But I mean, what my policy has been, Houston, is if somebody says, "Oh man, this guy's terrible," then I'll say something like, "Yeah, you should know, you should see how it feels to be my friend," something like that. So I always just like, everybody always gets caught off guard when I make fun of myself, because then they're like, "Oh, well, I guess it doesn't matter if I troll this guy because he's going to troll himself. So who cares?" And to be honest with you, if you've been in the military at all, if anybody on has been watching the show knows I'm in the Army, or I was in the Army. If you can't make it through the Army without growing some thick skin, I mean, I don't know what will do it for you, but
yeah.
All right. Vahid Ellis says, "You guys are doing great. Authentic content. Keep grinding." I appreciate that. I do. I really appreciate that. We try to do our best. Again, name another show that has actual Clemson grads, all three of us Clemson grads, and talking about Clemson, and actually having opinions and not just, toeing the line. Bill, this one's a little bit older. I think they got another run in, but Grice with a double and an RBI, 3-1 Tigers. I think they're now 4-1, maybe
5-1.
5-1. Okay, 5-1. Kevron gets in, says, "Houston, hi Houston, hi Morgan." Hey Kevron. Kevron's been one of the guys that's been a fan of the show since like day one.
You're my boy, Kevron.
Bill gets in, says 4-1 Tigers. TB gets in, says depends on QB wide receiver play. And that's what he's talking about, the outlook of next season. And, I agree. I think those two positions of really the entire offense, other than the running backs, need to step up, need to show what they can do, need to get on the right page. I mean, is there any group that sticks out more than the entire group? Or would you single out QB wide receiver or something else?
Well, I would say the entire group, yeah, but I think there's certain factors in there that it's going to get better. Like we go, well, if DJ doesn't improve, look, call a spade a spade. If DJ doesn't improve, there's a replacement there. That's what it is. And then on top of that, improved wide receiver play. You got guys that are ready to step in and go. Like it's not like the cupboard's bare. If Joseph Ngata doesn't improve and Bo Collins is still playing really well, Bo Collins is going to play more. If Dakari Collins balls out, he's going to get on the field. I feel like there's going to be improvement. It's just putting it all together and getting it going. I personally want to see somebody like DJ get out there and sling it and look good. Maybe somebody made a comment about him not having wheels or whatever. He doesn't have to have wheels, man. If you use him as a battering ram this year, that's better. It's going to get better. It's just got to get started. The offense has always kind of started out. I won't say slow, but it always kind of starts out a little more conservative, and then it builds up towards the end of the year where they look good. And I expect that to happen this year.
All right. Well, let's continue to go. For me, it's still, I can't nail down one group that I feel like is better or should perform better. I mean, it really does start with the quarterback. They are the general on the field. Do you think Pumachan will be starting week 1 for Georgia Tech? No, I don't really think that. TB, against teams we will beat easily, rather than run the ball, we need to pass 50 times and get better at it in-game situation. You know what? I mean, I'm all for getting on page with the passing game as quickly as possible, whatever it takes. I don't know if it means passing 50 times every game, but I do feel like that the team needs to do what they can to get on board. I don't want any more games where the doggone quarterback is staying late to throw to the equipment manager. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I'm a person who loves airing out the ball, but if you're in a rhythm with running the ball like South Carolina last year, and I mean, we could have passed the ball more. Clemson could have passed the ball more, but when you're running for 265 yards a pop against a Power 5 opponent, you got to go with what's working. And if they're throwing for 300 yards, go with what's working. I'll say to the end of time that in 2020, when Clemson was playing Notre Dame in South Bend, they should have let DJ throw the ball. He was in a rhythm that night. And instead, they ran the ball with ETN 3 times, couldn't run out the clock. Notre Dame got the ball. All they needed was one quick slant across the middle to Cornell Powell, and that would have won the game. What I'm saying is go with what's working is the main thing, whether it's a matchup-based offense, whether it's running the ball, whether it's a tempo. If you need to ramp up tempo, that's what's going. Go with what works this year. You have an opportunity to be multiple. You have 2 coordinators on your offense that are looking for a fresh slate. So do whatever works. And then, if your personnel changes in the next year, change it up and do what works.
I mean, to me, I see the passing 50 times, and I do think that in order to win the national championship, you have to be a good passing team. But it's hard to also ignore the fact that there's a 3-headed monster at running back. The running back room is so good, you could have all 3 of them on the field and go into the wing T if you wanted to. The running back room is so good that I don't think you should do that, but I do think you should have 2 of them on the field more than you did last year. I'd love to see two running back sets more often than not.
Well, here's the thing, though. I would disagree a little bit on.
Shipley could basically be your halfback slot guy. He doesn't have to sit back there.
Look at Georgia last year. Were they really that elite at passing the ball? They had a great tight end.
Not the first game. Not the first game. They got a lot better. Stetson Bennett somehow drank some Kool-Aid and got better.
Yeah, but they weren't elite. Like that offense. I told someone today.
They had JT Daniels that game, right? The first game, or was it? So they changed to Stetson Bennett. And he got better. He helped the team and they improved a lot.
But I would say you don't have to necessarily have an elite passing game to win a national title. You need defense. You need it. But look, Ohio State in 2014.
In today's age, you don't think you need an elite passing game?
2014, Ezekiel Elliott, they rode him to death to win a national title. You can say now.
Was that playoff era?
Yeah. The very next year in 2015, Alabama rode Derrick Henry to death to win a national title.
And Jalen Hurts was a running quarterback, really.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't really known for his big arm.
It wasn't even Jalen Hurts. That was Jacob Coker that was doing that.
Oh, don't remind me that Jake Coker got a national championship off of us. Don't remind me of that.
Coker. Then on top of that, you think about Georgia. Georgia does not have an elite passing game. And look, I'm not saying that they don't have great athletes all over the field, but you got to think about their defense was so good that Stetson Bennett won. And Stetson Bennett, if it hadn't have been for a great drive to take the lead, that game would have been forever. 2 things happened in that game. Jameson Williams went down, and
best wide receiver in the country.
Yeah, best wide receiver in the country. Because if Jameson Williams hadn't gone down, that game would have been remembered for Stetson Bennett fumbling the ball on like the 5-yard line backwards for Alabama to take over. All right. You don't have to have an elite passing game. I'm not saying he wasn't bad. It was good. Cardell Jones had moments where he looked good. Jacob Coker had moments where he looked good. But those teams were built on the run game.
All right. John Sarian says Georgia Tech has a lot of students, but over half are grad students, like 15 undergrad, 20 grad, something like that. TB says DJ's inaccuracy is an issue, but his lack of wheels is just as big. Tigers offense needs a QB that can run. I completely agree. To me, it's a complete recruiting miss. And he did run in high school, though, but he gained a lot of weight. And to me, if he can't do something with his legs a lot more than he did last year, it's a complete recruiting miss as far as DJ is concerned. Clemson cannot have a quarterback that just stands there.
We'll have to see. I wouldn't say that he doesn't have wheels or anything. You don't have to use him like a quarterback. I wouldn't say Taj had wheels. They just used him effectively.
Taj didn't look like Taj did not look like did not look like DJ has looked. with his feet.
Yeah, but
Taj was a lot more confident.
Yeah, he was. I'll say Taj was confident, but to say like Taj wasn't a thick boy at quarterback, he's a pretty thick quarterback. But they used him
but Taj was never 260.
No, to be fair, yes.
But Taj is also not 6 something either. He wasn't as tall.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Or he's not as tall.
You have a similar type quarterback though, that the runs that he was generally used on, 5-6 yard runs, quarterback draw, get to the outside. He's not getting out there like Lamar Jackson or Deshaun even, who could get out there and scoot, or even Trevor. But if you have an effective quarterback when it's 3rd and 1, what I would say is like, I'm not wanting DJ to run the ball that much, especially when you're trying to work Cade into it. If you got 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 3, quarterback draw, if he can get 4 yards, that's all you need. That's all you need. You don't have to have him running the ball a ton, just enough. And with Cade, if he can extend the ball, if he is playing extended time, he's the type of player that you want him extending plays. And if he sees downfield that he's got 12 yards, instead of waiting for someone to come open, get those 12 yards to get that first down.
I think that, I'm curious to see how Brandon Streeter adjusts the offensive playbook and the scheme because of the strengths that he has. Really, if you have an offensive line that can get a push, there's no need to run the quarterback. You have way too good of a running backs to even need to do that. But it all depends on what kind of push in the run game that your offensive line can get. And we haven't really seen that they can get a consistent one at that. Hopefully this year they'll be more consistent and less confused. And the newcomers, the freshmen that had to play last year are now going to be sophomores. So maybe they won't be so big deer in the headlights like they were last year. Al Kuhn says, hello, guys, from Chapin. Let's go.
Chapin.
Chapin.
You don't know how to pronounce Chapin? Come on, man.
Is it 2 P's?
No, it's Chapin. Chapin, South Carolina.
Sometimes I do stuff just to make you mad. No way Clawson hasn't had a lot of chances. He doesn't want to move, or not yet. I guess he's talking about Clawson going to different schools.
Yeah, I mean, he'll end up somewhere this year, I think, though.
Dabo ought to make cigars available for after that game. Let the whole team have the revenge victory cigar and let the Dorans see it all.
Yeah.
Well, something big needs to happen, that's for sure. The whole stadium needs to get a free slice of pizza.
No, I'd just say give the sidelines an igloo full of some silver bullets and let them Stone Cold Steve Austin on the sideline for them to see.
I don't know. These guys aren't 21 yet.
Well,
Jeff said Dabo Swinney is a prophet. He called it before everybody. And Darren Richer said this. He called it out on Twitter. Ellis says, how confident are you guys with the effectiveness of the O-line next season? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not very confident. I'm going to have to see it to believe it. The offensive line has got to show up for me. I mean, Dabo Swinney has said it. These sophomores, the redshirt sophomores, they need to step up. They need to step up and show what they can do, especially the redshirt sophomores who are really juniors, have been there for quite some time now. And Dabo has banked on, Dabo is a very loyal recruiter and a coach, and he wants to develop you. Well, if you're a redshirt sophomore, it's time to put up or show up. And that's how I feel about the offensive line. It's time to show what you can do or get out of the way.
So let me pull something up real fast.
Al Kuhn says 5-1.
It's 7-1 now.
7-1 now, Al.
Yeah.
We're behind.
So I just want to point a few things out, right? For those of you who are going, well, I just don't know. I mean, and look, they might. I always say you don't know. Like, I don't know. But they were able to run for 330 yards against Wake Forest. Okay. Oh, that's Wake Forest. Wake Forest is terrible. We shouldn't say anything about Wake Forest. So let's talk about maybe an SEC caliber defense. And nobody will want to admit that South Carolina's defense is any good. They weren't that great. But when you're able to run for 265 yards with an embarrassingly bad offense, historically speaking, in Columbia, at night and you beat your team 30-0. Now some of that's on the defense, but you ran for 265 yards on them. Okay, I want to point that out. And then let's look at one other game. Okay, we don't want to talk about either of those two teams, but you play a solid defensive team in Iowa State. And look, Iowa State comes from the Big 12, but they're a scrappy bunch. They're a team that gives people problems. They've beaten Oklahoma in the past, and we ran for almost 130 yards for them. Wasn't as great, but a more balanced team. You're able to run for 130. That's an all right night for me, especially when you're down as many people. They were getting better at the end of the year, and I think they'll be able to build off of that. You're getting
I think
guys.
the last couple of games, they DJ had over 200 yards passing back to back. I mean, he did get better.
Yeah, everybody got better as the year went on, and I think that's a big sign of confidence for everybody, especially the offensive line. You're getting guys back you didn't have last year that are going to be contributors. You're going to have freshmen that are available to be contributors. You have guys that, from all accounts, in the spring are excelling that you may have not seen in the spring game that are excelling. And so I just say wait and see. I feel like it'll get better. They may not be perfect at the beginning of the year, but by the time things get really rocking and rolling, I feel like they're going to be pretty good.
Stephen Budden over on YouTube says the whole offense needs to improve. Big Mick gets in over on YouTube, says everyone thinks that if DJ does not improve, that K will step in and the receivers drop his ball, run the wrong route, offensive line not blocking. Be careful what you ask for.
What are we asking for?
So basically saying, hey, if Cade gets in there because everybody blames DJ and Cade has the same issues that he can't overcome because it's everybody else, maybe it's not just DJ.
Yeah, here's a caveat to that, though. And once again, I want to see DJ do well. I want him to. I want to see DJ do awesome this year. But you look at some of the passes that he misses on, and it's not in the same zip code. Like, it's just not. And I don't mean that as anything negative, but that's something you got to improve on. Cade made some throws where his overthrows and incompletions, you go, man, if he just took a smidge off of that, that's a touchdown. Or, man, a little bit there. It's minute things that a freshman needs to overcome. And there wasn't as many drops. There were a handful of drops from, like, walk-ons. Dakari had a drop on him. But he was putting some passes on the money, especially to Brenningstool. So I'm not saying that the wide receivers and the O-line will be perfect, but at the same time, when you've got a quarterback that's confident in what he's doing, that solves a lot. That's the straw that stirs the drink, so to speak.
So Quack on Out of Bounds last year, at the end of the year, went through all of the passes that DJ had. And he evaluated them based on his opinion of what was good, bad, what was his fault, what was the receiver's fault. And of the ones that were his control, only 50% of the passes he could say were good passes. Now, that doesn't include the ones that were caught, because then of the ones that were caught, you were around 50% for that, which was even, made him one of the worst completion percentages in college football. So that's the thing is when you get a wide receiver open, you can't throw it to the third deck, the third row of the stands. And then, if you do get it on target, you can't drop the ball, to Big Mick's point. But there were plenty of plays last year where DJ had more than 3 seconds to throw the ball and did not throw it and took a sack, or threw it and completely missed the guy. So he had time a lot of times. All right. Data Racer gets in. We hadn't seen Data Racer is a username we haven't seen in a long time, but he used to come on the show a lot and get in the chat alive. Welcome back, man. We appreciate you getting back in. Hopefully some of our longtime watchers or, fans of the show, when we get closer to football season. Houston, did you know it's only like 62 days, I think, until fall practice or something like that? So it's really close.
Yeah.
Close.
It's getting there. We're going to get there.
All right. He says, why is he never seen throwing to Clemson wide receivers outside of practice? Always seen throwing back in LA or something. A lot. He meaning DJ.
Well, I mean, he does live in California, and that's, you know, I don't think people realize how far that is. Maybe Bo might be out there. I don't know where Bo Collins is. I know Bo's from the same area. He might be around. But Bo, also another thing to factor in, Bo is not with DJ right now because Bo is on a trip with Paul Journey right now, doing student things like he should be doing.
I thought they just come back.
Yeah, well, he just got back. Well, he can't be running routes. Well,
Bo is probably he's probably getting ready for this weekend and watching some Clemson softball.
Yeah, for his girl. But anywho, yeah, I mean, Bo might not have been there. You have no other receivers. And God is not from the same part of California. He's from Northern California, which is, you know, pretty good chunk of change away to get to. So that could probably it. He's just trying to work his routes and do everything. I wouldn't put that on the wide receivers. You know, if it's in Clemson and you just see him.
Everybody is so different and from such different backgrounds and different areas. You know, the 1 year I played college soccer, I didn't play with other players. If I played with like people in intramural, you know, playing around, or I practiced on my own, or went back to high school and practiced with my old high school team. Because you know, there's limitations on what you can do with a coach, and there's limitations on certain things that you can do and when you can do them. A lot of times the coach that you see the most is really the strength and conditioning coach, because that's what you can do year round. So I don't really know how football is, but I do know that, like you mentioned, Houston, I mean, I don't really expect, you know, all the wide receivers to follow DJ every single day, every single week during the off season. I like that he is practicing. I like that he is doing what he can and going to these elite groups. It'd be different if he was going to these elite groups that nobody else went to, but he's going to groups that Dak Prescott, that Matt Ryan, and other top quarterbacks have gone to. So obviously they either paid those quarterbacks to come and do it, or the quarterback, it was good enough training for those quarterbacks to go to. So, I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, any way he can try to improve, I think is a good thing. Data Racer also gets in. Oh, by the way, Jeff says it's 7-1. I don't know if it's still 7-1. Have they won the game yet?
I mean, the game just started at 6, so it's probably in the middle of it right now.
So Data Racer gets in and says something about recruiting now. Potentially 2 decommits in what was a 4-person 2023 class, cause for concern or the new realities of the NIL recruiting era. All right, so you know we do our recruiting big board that we have up. We've been going through it. If we look at it, Houston, right now we have Christopher Vizina, Nathaniel Ray Joseph, and David Ojabwe. According to Paul, that's the way he says it. But as you know, we had Reed McKeska, and he was gone. I put a little broken heart emoji next to his name, Houston. I don't know if you like that or not. But he decommitted because he wants to go visit Oklahoma. And Ray Joseph is getting a huge push from Miami. Now, Paul Strelo this morning on Mickey's show basically said, hey, Miami's pushing for him hard. And just as many people want him to go to Miami as they want him to go to Clemson. And it's going to be probably down to the wire, even though he's currently still committed to Clemson. It is not a for sure lock that he'll stay a commit to Clemson. So that's what Data Racer is talking about. They had 4, now they have 3. With this news about Joseph's still slated to come to June 3rd. To me, if he comes June 3rd, I think he still commits to Clemson. I think he still stays to Clemson. But National Signing Day is not until December. And I'll tell you this, Houston, they put up another egg on the offense and have another trash offense as one ranked 100th or 110th. Wide receivers aren't going to want to come to this offense.
I mean, we're all dealing with hypotheticals.
We are. That's what. I mean, it's a speculatory question.
It's a speculatory question, but what happens if things turn around? Like
things turn around, I want to see more commits.
Right. But I mean, gonna keep harping on this, and I'm saving people's everything's over, all this kind of tweets in case things turn around, because I write for Rubbing the Rock, and I'm gonna put every one of you on blast for that. And not saying Data Racer, I know you're not saying that, but what I'm saying is,
just put me on blast. I'm the only one that can take it.
So even if there's a decommit, we don't know. I've heard some people, Strelo and some others, saying that we don't know yet. If he comes to Clemson, potentially he could stay. I wouldn't get in the weeds on this just yet. It's May, right? You haven't even had a full year of NIL recruiting. Everyone wants to just panic and do everything. Just relax. We saw Dabo do possibly his best coaching job last year, with as terrible as the offense was, and potentially he could do a pretty good recruiting job this year with as much negative press and everything going on, and his Clemson over and all this. You're going to be surprised at what you might yield, from this June 3rd through 5th visit. You're also going to be surprised at some offers that might come out from camp. That's why it's a holistic marathon that you have to deal with. There's going to be offers that are dispersed after the football season starts. There are going to be commits that commit potentially after signing day, the first one. So you don't know how this is going to shake out. Look at last year. Clemson finished with a consensus top 15 class, which is generally right around the same amount that Clemson's finished with over the last decade. And I feel like if you finish within the top 10, you're doing the right things as a program to keep up with the Joneses. You're not going to land every 5-star that's out there. And I don't think Dabo wants to put his program in that way. I think people get lost in it like this, where they want to be like A&M or Georgia and all this, have all the talk. They want to be like an SEC school. Dabo has other plans for that. So if things are bad, they're bad, and maybe it is. I don't know. But I also want to tell people, it's just like, let's let this pan out, because after June 3rd, who knows? You might get 3 or 4 4-stars. What are you going to say about that?
By the way, there's no longer a restriction for the next 2 years of the 25 recruits per class.
Yeah,
so
it's
you
just
can get
about
as many as you want.
Yeah, it's the roster size. I guess you have to have 85 men. So
if you had, Clemson is teetering. I mean, unless players leave, which I do expect players to leave for many reasons, but Clemson needed to have a full class to begin with. So I would say they needed 24 or 25 anyways. Some estimated maybe 23 if you're being generous on the Clemson side of things. But Clemson needed a full class to begin with. If you are now allowing more than 25, you could have a team that has a lot of interest dump all of their players that they don't really want, or that are not bought in. And for a team or a coach that's interested in using the transfer portal, there could be a lot of good players out there that are getting dumped by these big schools that are just as good, but just didn't fit in, or maybe they would rather have somebody else. I think it could work out great. I think that Clemson needs to, again, go get the biggest class possible. There's no excuse to get the biggest class possible this class, because there's no limit.
Yeah, I would say, and that's why there's even more of a reason to be like, stay patient and understand that what you just mentioned is a big part of Clemson's strategy. You dump a bunch of prospects because you want to go to the portal. There's going to be talent out there that got passed over for a disgruntled college kid, or maybe a college kid that want to pursue NIL. Look at what happened last year, and I want to point this out in case this guy blows up. Miles Oliver from Georgia had no offers except for Georgia Tech. The reason being is he had no film because he was hurt during the prime of his years. He had all this COVID stuff happening. No one was talking to him until Clemson got him. And so that's one of those things where it could be one of these things where this guy doesn't contribute. I don't know. Maybe he has a good career. Or he could be like a Kayvon Wallace, where he blows up and it looks like Dabo's a genius again. Dabo is going to take his chances with high school commits that he can develop, whether they're 4, 5, 3, whatever, if they fit the bill. That's why culture is important for him, and not necessarily pursuing NIL. Whoever is pursuing NIL deals or 5 stars if they're glitz and glamour, that's not necessarily what Dabo is looking for.
All right, I'm going to get in the chat and remind everybody to hit the like button. So make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already. We got about 26 people watching over on Facebook and YouTube. We really appreciate you getting in. Again, the like button is the biggest way to help us. But if you want to be a friend, tell a friend and let them know about the show. Hit the share button and tell them, hey, some guys are talking about Clemson. Join the show. You can get in. Your thoughts will be posted up. We really appreciate it. WB says, he gave me his name last time. I can't remember it now off the top of my head. Tiggs or something like that. Tiggs says, any thoughts on rotating DJ and Cade in each game? I would say go away from that unless you're doing it the traditional way where you're already beating the team bad.
I mean, I think it'll probably be similar to how, I mean, even in 2015, they were playing Kelly Bryant in the middle of the game and Nick Schuessler in the middle of the game. I would think they'll probably do similar to what they did with Trevor and Kelly, where they did 2 on, 2 off, 2 on, 2 off.
I could see that if he's ready physically. You know, Dabo made a couple of comments about how he would like to see him actually get hit by somebody in the spring game. So Dabo's still questioning whether or not Cade can handle the college level hits. We know he can handle the high school level hits. Can he handle the college level? Data Racer again gets in and says, looked like Cade threw off his back foot a lot in spring game. I could be wrong. I didn't see second half. I don't think anybody saw the second half unless you were actually there. Thank you, OCC Network, you big scrubs. But
yeah.
Like it. I don't know. I felt like he made better passes.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was one in particular in the second quarter.
And is he saying back foot is in a good thing?
I don't know. I mean, maybe that's off his back foot. I don't know. Like, to me, I think he was making some really solid passes, even ones that, and maybe he might be thinking of the first drive where he's dropping back and trying to drop one over the middle.
Those like more of a falling backwards type.
Yeah, more of a fall. But I mean, like sometimes you have to make that. I thought he had incredible poise, and a lot of his passes, even when they were off, were like, man.
I like his chemistry with Brenningstool.
Yeah, I know, and I mean that's part of what made Deshaun important when he was coming along was he had good chemistry with Leggett. Well, if you have another quarterback who has great chemistry with one of the tight ends, and even Trevor had good chemistry with Braden Galloway before Galloway was suspended for all that time. So you have another weapon with a tight end. I feel like Cade will have good chemistry with the guys that are in his class, guys that are above his class. That tends to be what happens. Not saying that DJ's out of it. DJ could turn. I mean, look at what DJ was able to do with Joseph Ngata. He had 2 outstanding balls that were down the sideline to Ngata. If you can just hone in, the one advantage that I would give is the passes that seem to be the most exceeding for Cade were when they went down the middle, right? There was one that he put, there was 2 safeties in a corner, and Brenningstool went right in the middle of them, and he just put it right in the middle and hit him down the field. I was like, ooh, I haven't seen that in a minute. That was a pretty ball. It was really good.
Data Racer says, my comment is about building chemistry with wide receivers. I always see Big Dave posting vids of DJ training in LA. First of all, do what I would suggest ignoring Big Dave. The QB and wide receiver should be out there every day throwing and catching, more experience. I mean, I can't disagree, but
it's also not. You can't really control that with the off seasons and certain things. Their own internships right now, Paul Journey stuff. Like, just do your stuff over the summer, work out over the summer, get better, and then get back closer to fall and do that.
Data Racer says all good. Tig says, I, for one, don't care. Tigers for life.
For life.
Dabo has had walk-ons that have developed like Hunter. Has had walk-ons. Is there anybody other than Hunter that you could say is like a legit, really good walk-on? That, I mean, Hunter is like a diamond in the rough.
I mean, Hunter's a diamond in the rough, but Rencher is getting a tryout with the Panthers. You know?
I'm excited for him. I know minicamp is very difficult. It's Derry, it's very difficult for anybody to make the team from mini camp just on an invite. But
Yeah, I mean,
I look
I think
forward to seeing
Richard
what he can do.
he can make the practice. Look, if Richard makes the practice squad, that's somebody that's developed more than anyone would have expected him to.
I don't disagree. Tig says, "Come on, all you Gamecock fans, hit the like already." Jeff
Feels
says
good to be here.
9-1.
Baseball.
TB says, "Do you think the defensive backs will be good this year?" Well, let's look at who they are. We'll go with the 2022 roster. You've got Sheridan Jones as your senior. Fred Davis, Malcolm Green are your juniors. Now, Malcolm Green is typically more of your nickel guy, so we'll move him away. So Sheridan Jones, Fred Davis. Nathaniel Wiggins, a sophomore who got a ton of praise from Dabo Swinney and looked really good in the spring game. And then you got your three true freshmen, one you've already mentioned in Miles Oliver, but you also have five-star Jaden Lucas, who got, I think, injured in the spring, unfortunately. And then you got Toriano Pride, who Mike Reed has been saying looks great this year too so far. These guys in the freshman class seem to be ready to go. It's pretty light. There's really within the two deep, Houston, you're already getting into freshmen.
And sometimes I would be worried, but I mean, I got to look at Toriano Pride in the spring game, and he looks like a senior. That guy looks good, man.
Big.
I mean, and apparently from all what Dabo's saying is Jane Lucas is the best one out of them all, out of the freshmen. And you're like, man, you got two stud freshmen like that. That's all right, man. Get him in there. I know it might be a little light, but I feel like they got some absolute stallions back there. So, and look, don't put it past Malcolm Green to be at corner. I think he can do that. I think he probably will play more.
Love Malcolm Green, man.
Yeah, I love Malcolm Green. If they play him at nickel, fine. But I feel like the goal this year is to get more of Barrett Carter on the field at that position, which I'm okay with as well. But if you have certain scenarios where you got to drop down Malcolm Green to play nickel, let's go. Let's do that. We got the personnel to do what we need to do on the field.
You see a healthy rotation of Sheridan Jones, Fred Davis, Nathaniel Wiggins, Lucas, and Pride. I'm not hating that at all.
No, absolutely. Let's go.
Especially with what's behind them in Makuba, Mickens, Zanders, and Phillips. I'm not hating that at all either.
And Koval's going to play early too. Sherrod Koval's going to play.
Koval looked great in the spring game too.
Yeah. So I would say secondary will be okay.
Jeff says 10-1 baseball.
It is a blowout.
Bible Belt Beauty says Greg Hugel was a successful walk-on. # kickers are people too.
I forgot about Greg Hugel. I would say that's a good call out there. Was Chandler Catanzaro a walk-on too? I might be wrong about Chandler Catanzaro. And if I am, I apologize to everybody out there if he wasn't a walk-on. But I don't remember him being offered a scholarship as well. So.
Well, let's see. Chandler Catanzaro 24/7. Let's go to his recruiting profile. From Greenville. It does not say that he was a walk-on.
Okay, maybe
he was offered by Clemson and he was not. He was offered by Furman. Let me go back. Let me keep looking.
Well, might have been right.
I don't know. We'll have to have our experts in the chat tell us more, remind us about Chandler Catanzaro, Catman. But he enrolled in 2011 class. Wow, that's crazy. So long ago.
He was 2010 because he missed the field goal at Auburn.
Well, he was in the 29. He was actually in the 2009 class. I don't know why it says enrolled 2011. That was wrong.
That might have been when he got a scholarship. He was a walk-on, and he got a scholarship in 2011.
Yeah. Maybe that's the thing. So he actually started 2009, and then but it says enrolled 2011. I don't know what the deal was. So yeah, Bible Belt Beauty says Catman was a walk-on.
Let's go. I was right.
Kickers are people too.
They are.
Kickers are people too. I'll put Bible Belt up there. Catman was a walk-on.
There we go.
All right, Tig says, who are your wide receiver starters this year? Let's go through the list of that. Seniors, you got Joe Ngata, Drew Sweeney. Juniors, you got E.J. Williams. Sophomores, you have redshirt sophomore Brandon Spector, Will Taylor, Dakari Collins, Bo Collins. Freshmen, redshirt freshman would be Troy Stellato. True freshman, Adam Randall, Antonio Williams, Cole Turner. Williams and Turner did not show up until the summer. Randall coming off of an ACL repair. So the true freshmen, I don't know how they'll be able to fit in because of those situations. So to me, I think your outside guy is Joe Ngata. I think your other outside guy is E.J. Williams. If he can prove what he can do off of injury, I'll be honest with you, I could see EJ being a backup because of his lack of playing time last year and Bo Collins being a starter.
Yeah, I mean, either or. I mean, I think it could be – I would think day one you would see, and this is bound to change, Joseph Ngata, EJ Williams, and your slot B, Brandon Spector. But I could also see that changing for certain personnel. I could see maybe you put out Ngata, Collins. And I mean, you can shift EJ Williams on the inside as well. Like if you have to put in a pinch EJ Williams at slot, it's not his primary position, but I don't think I would be – this isn't a Justin Ross situation with EJ Williams. I think you could put him there, but not all the time. You have enough depth at slot now that you've got Stellato and you've got Taylor back and you've got Spector. You're going to have a lot more slot guys there than you had last year, which is an incredibly helpful thing.
Yeah, I like – we lost the stream there. We got a little bit of an interruption on the stream. Sorry about that. Let me make sure we're back live on the show. Yep. Yeah, we're back live. Sorry about that. A little bit of an interruption. Going back to the roster, Spector, I could see being the slot guy because I feel like if he's truly not ready, you're going to put Bo Collins at the slot because that's what you had to do at the end of last year. So I'm also curious to see how much Dakari Collins can push for playing time.
He's going to play. I mean, he had a great end of the year, and he had a decent spring game. So he's going to play. Like, there's going to be – that's why I'm saying, like, give it a chance with the wide receiver play because one of the things that's already improved this year is the depth and hopefully the lack of injured bodies that you have this year around.
Yeah. All right. Let's go back into the chat here. Catman was a walk-on. Tig says, welcome back. TB says, do we have a real deep burner to take the top off? I'm not so sure. I talked to Mickey about this. There's not anybody that sticks out to me that can beat anybody deep just by pure speed alone.
Yeah, but I mean, in a way, we haven't had if you're thinking about a Sammy, we haven't had one really since Sammy. Even in the 16 teams, you had Artavis Scott that could go, but he's kind of like him and Amari Rogers are both similar, and Cornell Powell. You're not always going to send them super deep to burn. You also have guys on the staff. I think EJ Williams could be that guy, but he's, not somebody I generally see that. You also don't know about Antonio Williams. He could be. He could be someone that could be a real burner in the future. So I don't know. I mean, you don't have to have the most fastest guys out there to constantly throw deep balls to. You just need good guys that can catch the ball, get downfield, and run routes correctly.
The Real Slow Jam says, what about Stellato?
We'll see. He's gonna have to fight because I don't know if anyone was anticipating how good Will Taylor was going to be at slot, but if you get out there and play well, he'll get an opportunity to do so.
I think Stellato, when I remember his high school footage, he was very fast across open space across the field.
Yeah.
But again, that's so long ago. I can't really talk about a guy I never get to see. Now he did play a little bit at the end of last year. I made a joke on about a show a month ago that he was like a ghost, and I got a lot of pushback because he wasn't a ghost. He did play some snaps last year, but that's how insignificant they were. I mean, he really needs to show what he can do. Just getting on the field was never an expectation for him. We wanted to see him play. You know what I mean? Play. Bible Belt Beauty says Dakari Collins reminds me a lot of Amari Rogers. I don't know how so, because Dakari to me is a lot bigger, isn't he?
Yeah, Dakari's a bigger guy, but he's still fast. I mean, they can do similar things. I think just Dakari is bigger.
I guess in that sense where he could probably break a tackle and just burn it. And we're talking about a burner. I don't know. I really haven't seen him in the open. I really haven't seen him burn people like that. Like I said, we didn't get when you have a quarterback that's struggling, when you have an offensive line that's struggling, when you have wide receivers that's struggling, it makes it even harder to evaluate these guys. It almost, for me, I just want to get the offense back out there. I want to see a game. I want to reset from last year, man. I want to forget last year and move on to this year. Tig says, even if we had a burner, can DJ hit the deep ball? I'll tell you one thing. Give DJ 6 seconds of time and throw a deep ball. That's where he's actually probably his best. These back shoulder, throw the guy open passes, that's where we've seen he's not really that good. Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, they could throw guys open before they were even open. They could hit a spot in the field when the player wasn't already there. I haven't seen that from DJ. What I have seen from DJ is he can chuck the ball down the field and put it far enough to where the wide receiver can catch up to it. So if they did have a burner, I actually feel like that if DJ had the time, it would be actually work out great for him. I said that a couple of times last year. If they had 6 seconds to throw it and everybody was going deep, I think DJ would have had a bunch more touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree.
Spencer Scroggins gets in, says, we need small, quick wideouts. Need to go 10 yards at a time, not 59 yards at a time. Well, it goes back to the guy you really like this year, the big pickup from lower part of the state, Antonio Williams. Mm-hmm. Even though he came in the summer, that's going to give him some difficulties to get caught up quickly. How fast do you think he can get caught up if needed? I mean, or maybe he's not needed and you just go with Will Taylor, who's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to push, especially Adam Randall in this case, but Antonio Williams, Adam Randall, and Cole Turner, get them some playing time against Furman and Louisiana Tech. That should be a goal to do. But the real goal should be maybe towards the end of the season. You're probably going to – I don't think you'll redshirt all three of those guys, but you might. The goal is get them some time at the end of the year. And if one of those three guys is killing it in practice, killing it when they get in the game, playing them more and more, then that's who you start kind of focusing on towards the end of the season as that extra X factor, especially if you're making a push in the postseason.
My dad gets in, says, how is our offensive line going to look next year? Well, let me go through the list there. So you've got seniors, Jordan McFadden and Will Putnam. I think maybe Will Putnam reclassed into a junior. Did he not? Or maybe it was Walker Parks.
Yeah, one of those.
I can't remember. One of those guys. I think I might have already moved him down. Juniors, I've got Walker Parks, Mason Trotter, Mitchell Mays. Sophomores, I've got Brian Tucker, Trent Howard, John Williams, Marcus Tate. Those are the guys that need to step up. If we don't hear anything from Brian Tucker, Trent Howard, John Williams, and Marcus Tate, there's a big problem. One or more, or I would say at least two of those guys have got to be successfully helping the offense this year. Otherwise, you're really basically saying that group of sophomores was kind of a bust.
Well, I don't know. I would be.
They're
I mean,
redshirt sophomores, Houston. I mean,
yeah. I mean, look, they're offensive linemen that took a full 4 years. And look at somebody like. I mean, look at this year. If it's true that Will Putnam improves at center, I mean, we were ready to cast him out last year, but it really sounds like we were ready to cast him out last year. But if he comes in and is gangbusters
the guard play was terrible last year, man.
But think about it, man. It takes a longer time for college offensive lines to develop. It's very rare to find somebody like a Mitch Hyatt who's game ready. Now they're recruiting more of those in Sadler and in Blake Miller. Those guys are studs. But generally speaking, and this goes at every other program, it takes a long time to develop good offensive line. So I'd be a little more careful to put the B word on offensive linemen, and really any other position. I don't like saying bust until the holistic run of a player goes. If you'd have said, hey, Joe Burrow at Ohio State, Joe Burrow in his first year at LSU, not really that great, And now look at him. So, and that's any position. I would be careful saying bust, but especially at offensive line.
TB says wide receivers look way better when QB puts the ball in the money every time. Well, you can't expect the QB to put the ball in the money every time, but to Quack's point, you can't have 50% of your passes being bad. That he rated all of the passes good, bad, and not his fault. And of the ones that were his fault, 50% of them were bad. More than half of your passes have to be decent. I mean, you can't have 50% of your passes bad, uncatchable. That's just no good. It's no good. And to be honest with you, I almost spat on the floor when his first pass was a duck. Even though it was a to who knows wide receiver, it was still made me disgusted to see his first pass in the spring game kind of a duck. Because I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of seeing this. He's got to improve. It's up to him, really. But again, to people's point in the chat, it's not just him. Wide receivers, offensive line. Spencer gets in, says, have you touched on the NIL Saban Jimbo drama? We did a little bit. So looking at what Dion Sanders has said recently, I just got a pop-up about 30 minutes ago, Houston. Dion Sanders addresses Saban comments. He says he still loves Saban, but wants to talk in the open. You can't do that. This is quote. You can't do that publicly and then call privately. How do you feel about that? Ooh. Calling someone out publicly and then calling them privately to apologize?
I mean, whatever you wanted to say. He ain't lying, man. He ain't lying. I mean, it's whatever. This is kind of fun to not have Clemson's head coach getting drugged in the mud for some off-kilter comment that he had, or some comment that was taken out of context, is what I mean. And it's kind of fun to see that this is Nick Saban, because Nick Saban has been I guess this is what's odd, is that whole thing from Nick Saban. The one thing I will say is it was out of character for him. And you don't see him normally go on the offensive against a specific team. Dabo doesn't normally do that unless he's poking fun, like South Carolina a few years ago with the whole USC's and California thing. But with this was Texas A&M paid for their entire recruiting class. And I don't think he meant to say it was cheating. He just wanted to take that shot. He was calculated in what he said, and he was calculated in pointing out Dion Sanders. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was calculated. If you gave him more time, maybe a handful of liquid courage, he would probably said something about Georgia too. So I don't know. It's something to me that everyone acts like Nick Saban is this guy that was giving a stern warning. I think Nick Saban liked having his ability to control the market when things were illegal. And now that it's not, and you've got oil money in Texas and whatever money in California, and everybody's coming out in the woodwork, and you've got a free portal, and you haven't really necessarily built a great culture. If we're being honest, Alabama's culture is about being a football factory, not necessarily being a family. You kind of have what you have happen. And I mean, for what Jimbo said earlier today, the one thing that I've noticed is true, and this could be something that I want to keep track of going forward, is nobody does want to go back to work for Nick Saban. He's never had an assistant come back and work for him. He's never had an assistant coach come back and work for him. He got offered a chance. He offered Jimbo Fisher a chance when he first came to Alabama to be his OC, and he said no. He offered Dabo. This is what's honest. I feel like Dabo is probably cordial with Nick Saban. He probably has great conversations. But I find
they have a house in the same neighborhood in Florida.
Yeah. And you know what? When it's off season, they can shoot the breeze and do whatever. But I do find it odd that in the height of it all, Dabo Swinney turned down a chance to be a wide receiver coach at Alabama under Nick Saban to stay at Clemson. It's really odd and it's peculiar. And it'd be something that I'd like to see play out. What's going to happen? Because I can tell you this. If Alabama does slip a little bit in the next couple of years, I feel like 1 year they're judged at a separate standard. Everyone's going to say, oh, it's 1 year. But if you had 2 years in a row where it's not bashing everybody in the SEC and they do slip up, what is that going to look like? If some kind of slip up with Alabama happens, how is that going to be perceived as far as that goes?
Yeah, and Spencer also gets in and says, people I know who have connections to Alabama says nobody loves working for him.
There you go.
A lot of comments on the agreement with Jimbo Fisher, agreement talking about the NIL needs a cap. I agree with that. Also, Jeff gets in, says Caden Grice just stole a home run from Boston College, and the BC hitter looked like he was mad, wanted to fight him, which I think is hilarious. Also, some more comments about throwing the deep ball. Hey, we've been on this for about an hour and a half now, and we want a break, and I want to let you know, again, first of all, thank you so much for getting in. First of all, get in and hit the like button. Second of all, get in and hit the like button. Houston is over at Radio Guy Houston on Twitter. I'm at the Morgan T Show on Twitter. So go follow us over there if you haven't already. Houston also writes for Rubbing the Rock. He does that every once in a while. I write for the Roar.fm. Excuse me. I can't even say it right. And also I produce for the Mickey Plyler Show every Thursday morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. If you want to get in and be a part of radio. If you are up that early in the morning, I would appreciate you guys' support, but I don't expect you to get up early just for me. So, but I appreciate it. We're gonna take a break. I got some wrestling to catch up to. There's two things I got to do. I got to catch up on some wrestling, and two, I got to go. I got to work out. This will be my 70th day in a row of working out, so I got to go work out because guess what I'm doing Sunday?
Wrestling?
No, I wish I was. And let me tell you something. I'd do a swanton bomb off a top rope any day. But I'll tell you this. Sunday, I'm getting on a plane. I'm going to St. Thomas with my wife. It's our 12-year anniversary. But really, it's our 10-year anniversary with a 2-year COVID delay. So we're going to be going to St. Thomas. I will be at my island. My last name's Thomas. This is my island, St. Thomas. So I will be there. But I'll be gone this entire next week. So May 22nd to the 28th, there will be no show Thursday, and I won't be on the radio. Actually, Mickey Plyler has a golf tournament, so I don't think he's going to be on the radio either. But I appreciate everybody getting in. Again, don't forget to hit the like button. Houston, you got anything for the fans before we let them go?
Just relax. Enjoy it. June 3rd is coming up. We're going to be all good.
I'll try to keep pushing out some recruiting videos if I can. But as you can probably tell, I'm busy packing and getting ready to get out of here and enjoy my week. But thank you again, Tiger fans, for getting in. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to share. Tell a friend about us. And we'll be back the first week of June to talk more about what's going on. Hopefully getting ready for that big visit. There's about 26 players right now that should be coming, high school guys, to visit Clemson, possibly becoming the next 2023 commit for the Tigers. So there's still hope. As Houston says, relax. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill. Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their two locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs.